Welcome back to my channel, HADAR, the Love Beacon Restored. I am Luv Loyal, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get into the reveal portion of HADAR, the Love Beacon Restored's project. So, as you all know, the point of this channel is to reestablish and get reacquainted with what love is. Right now, with all of the craziness going on in the world, I felt that it was extremely important to get the love frequency as high as we can right now. So I have three important parts, and you can check that out in the previous video. It's reveal, reassure, and restore. Those are kind of the focal points for the project. So with reveal being the most and crucial important part of the project, we're going to take some time to really dig into our spirits and really bring up the things that really prevent us from being 100% happy with ourselves. So that's what that reveal part is going to be about. So ask yourself, what do you think of the word reveal? What does that mean to you? When I think of the word reveal, I think of a coming out. I think of showcasing, showing something off, you know, putting myself out there. That's what I think of when I think of the word reveal. So that's what it pretty much will be about. It'll be about putting your feelings out there and some of the most painful and uncomfortable parts of your life. So we'll do an acronym for reveal. Reveal, to release every vulnerable, entangled aspect of your life. Now, a lot of us are walking around with a lot of pain and hatred that's deeply rooted into our soul. Something particularly that may have happened when we were young that didn't necessarily get the attention that it needed. But in that finite time, or that period when our brain was developing, the theta, we decided that we had a bad experience or something negative happened in our lives. And we decided at that tender age how we were going to deal with it going forward. Perhaps some of us have seen our parents be abused. Perhaps some of us have been abused by our parents, our family members, or may not have had the best relationships with our parents. Our siblings may have not been the nicest or the kindest to us. And then there's some of us that had like real dark periods in their childhood. Some of us may have been molested or may have been a victim of violence, and those sorts of situations that happen to us at such a young age have subsequently made it almost impossible for some of us to have the successful relationships that we want to have with our family members or our husbands to be and our wives to be, because we still remember that tender moment when we were a young child that we decided how things are going to be. For some of us have been in large families and probably have felt, you know, not wanted, not accepted, or very alone because you've been kind of forced into a life where there's a whole bunch of people around you and you're not necessarily getting the attention that you need to develop successfully as a child. Just off of the top of my head, a lot of the situations that I come across in meeting people, they have had horrible relationships, you know. I've actually had friends and family members who, you know, were abused, you know, physically, sexually, and mentally right in their own households. And because of those situations being such a hardship on the family, you know, maybe when they did report these feelings of disrespect or being victimized by another family member, maybe it was told you know, be kept quiet, to maintain some sort of privacy, or to keep things hush as if it didn't happen. And as you all know, these things are still going on in our world. I mean, you know, young kids are being abused in their households, physically, sexually, and mentally, and they're going off into the world, and no one's really addressing the fact that these young people have been hurt. And that's what we all have been hurt. We've all felt some sort of disconnect or some sort of pain associated with what happened to us when we were a child. So what happens? You know, we all growing up now, and you know, we have these younger ones growing up and becoming members of society, and because that pain hasn't been addressed, because it hasn't been dealt with, they may not be the most functional people in society. So that's what we need to deal with. You know, my rule of thumb is from ages newborn to 18 years old, everything that an adult has done to harm a child or cripple a child from being a successful grown-up, an adult, that is that parent, grandparent, adult, guardian's responsibility from that point on. But this video primarily is directed towards, what do you do after that? You know, and that's where I come into. You know, there have been things that happened to me in my life, and you know, from ages 19 until the end of time, it becomes your responsibility to kind of look into those things that happened to you when you were a child and get the necessary help to make you be more successful. Now, I am talking from a point of my own personal perspective, from things that have happened to me as a child, and how it has not made me deal with things up front, and made me blame other people for things that have happened to me when I was young. And I had to take time out of my life and realize that, you know, in my dealings with others, they had nothing to do with what happened to me, you know, when I was a young child. And they shouldn't receive the anger and the pain because of what happened to me as a child. So after some things happened to me as I became an adult, I started to look at things, and you know, one day I just kind of woke up and was like, you know what, I have to take accountability of what type of person I'm going to be today, regardless of what happened to me or did not happen to me as a child, you know. And I think that's what we all need to focus on. So that's what the revealing is. It's to really dig deep and hone in on those parts of your life that pretty much made you self-destruct and not be the person that you're supposed to be today. So when you start to release those parts of your life that make you feel subjective to those time periods in the past and cause you to react, that needs to be dealt with. You know, we have tons of people you work with daily. I'm sure you all can relate that, you know, you've never done something to a person. You actually never caused them any type of harm or conflict in their life. But for some reason, they will just start treating you away. They may be rude or mean or nasty to you, you know. And me personally, I don't really agree with the whole point of, oh, well, we're all going through something. Yes, we are all going through something, but that's not an excuse to be rude to someone else who hasn't done anything to you. I mean, that's just my personal feeling about that, you know. But in hindsight, it's a problem there. You know, it's a problem when you have half of the world walking around miserable. You know what I'm saying? And then that same group of people that are walking around miserable, they're blaming someone else for why they're miserable instead of taking accountability for things that have happened to them in their life. So I'm just going to give you all a personal example of a hardship that I had. And not so much when I was young, but just to kind of give you an insight as to what I mean about revealing something that happened to you. It could be a catastrophic event. It could be anything. So I was a victim of 9/11. I was underground. I was trapped there, and after I went through that whole ordeal, it was very difficult for me to be around large crowds of people, be underground, be on the elevator. But I had to really address that painful situation. I had to deal with that pain because it was very painful for me and uncomfortable for me to just be in a confined place, And I had to address that. I had to really get a hold of myself and say that it's okay for you to get on an elevator. It's okay for you to be in a crowded space. And I had to remind myself that I was protected, and that I was going to be okay, because going to the movie theaters may seem like an easy task, but when you've been through something like 9/11, sitting in a movie theater with crowds of people could be very uncomfortable. But I needed to get over that. I needed to enjoy life. I needed to get back out there. So I had to place myself in uncomfortable situations and just know that, it's going to be okay. So that's what I mean about revealing a certain part of your life or a feeling inside of you. And we can discuss it a lot more. Again, this is just an intro. And I do want to keep my videos, kind of straight and to the point and sweet and short, because I know you all have busy lives. But the most important factor is understanding that if you do not deal with those issues, if you do not deal with the pain, the resentment, the hatred, the frustrations that you've had since you were a little child, you will not have successful relationships with anyone, and that's a fact. And there's a lot of people walking around here acting like nothing's wrong with them, and we all can see that there's something that's delusional. So once you start to reveal certain fragments of your life that does not make you happy, does not serve you, and you hone in and you address those issues, you will see that you'll become a better person when you dive deep inside your spirit and understand why the thing made you so upset, who was responsible for that pain, and then letting it go. So again, we will be going through some serious practices over the next couple of weeks of ways that you can kind of, as I like to say, bring everything to the surface and then wash it away. We'll do some practices. And just real quickly, I was watching Family Feud the other day, and Steve Harvey asked, what's the number one part of someone's body that goes unkept or is the least taken care of? And I almost literally died laughing because the number one answer was the feet. Now I know you all can relate to this. You will see people walking around from top to their ankles. They looking beautiful, they're all put together, But they forget about the feet. And what happens is that crust, it builds up over time. And it's looking nasty. You know what I'm saying? And they're not addressing it. Well, in hindsight, that's what happens when you have resentment, pain, and issues that go untreated. It builds up like those crusty feet. It does. And it totally hardens. It hardens a part of you. It hardens it so much so that you can't have the best relationship that you want to have with anyone, So I always tell people, you have to pay attention to what's going on with you, because you are responsible for you. Nobody else is responsible for you, and only you can make you happy. And nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything. So once we start revealing certain painful moments in our life, we can be better citizens, we can be happier people, and we can start to cultivate and change the world we live in. And And once we do that, then you'll see the world evolve unlike anything you could ever expect. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, this is just part 1 of the reveal portion, and we'll continue to grow and develop together. Thank you so much for watching my channel, and I hope you have a blessed day. It's peaceful.